Welcome, challengers, to Black Blast Ion Exchange Master. I am your host, Professor Sparkle, and I'll be guiding you through today's chemistry quest. We're starting in classic mode, where we'll break down the core concepts of ion exchange, one block at a time, connect the right ideas, and boom, you level up your knowledge. A quick heads up: watch the blocks on each slide, they're more than just visuals. They might lead you to a surprise waiting at the end. Ready to blast through the basics? Let's hit the classic mode and get started.
What is ion exchange? According to Green and Southard 2019, it is a useful tool provided by the mass action law for describing the general exchange equilibrium in fully ionized exchanger. Shown in this slide is the equilibrium relation wherein K raised to C sub AB is the apparent equilibrium constant or molar selectivity coefficient. K sub AB is the thermodynamic equilibrium constant based on activities. Gamma or the activity coefficients. For applications, ion exchange is a classification of sorptive separation wherein the basis for separation is equilibrium. Here are some examples of ion exchange. First is the deionization, second is water softening, third is rare earth separations, and fourth, recovery and separation of pharmaceuticals such as amino acids and proteins. Table 16-6 provides the physical properties of ion exchange materials. It shows essential design, operation, and performance data about ion exchange resins. Let's go to the single component ion exchange. Ion exchange usually occurs through a swollen cross-linked charged polymer termed as resin. Cation exchange are ions of positive charge, while an ion exchange are ions of negative charge. Table 16-7 shows the equilibrium constants for polystyrene, DVB cation, and an ion exchangers. Equations for the separation factor and Langmuir isotherm equations are shown in this slide. Note that N sub I or N sub S are the capacity, C is the concentration, N raised to S sub I is the monolayer capacity approach at large concentrations, and K sub I is an equilibrium constant. Figure 16-7 shows constant separation factor isotherms for a range of R values. The isotherm is linear for R equals 1, favorable for R less than 1, rectangular or irreversible for R equals 0, and unfavorable for R greater than 1. As a result of symmetry properties, if R is defined for adsorption of component ion exchange of ion A for B, then the reverse process is described by 1 over R. Now, let us go to multiple component ion exchange. First, let us define ion exchange stoichiometry. Except for some weak electrolyte and some concentrated solution cases, the following summations apply. Note that when more than one adsorbed species or more than two ion exchange species interact in some manner, equilibrium becomes more complicated. Usually, thermodynamics provides a sound basis for prediction. Figure 16-8 shows the ideal mass action equilibrium for three-component ion exchange with unequal valences. Because an n-component system has n-1 independent concentrations, a three-component equilibrium can be plotted in a plane and a four-component equilibrium in a three-dimensional space. Figure 16-8 shows a triangular plot of C with the corresponding n coordinates. To find the equilibrium between solution and resin, first, we must identify the bulk solution composition using the mole fractions. Second, we have to trace the points inside the triangle using the correct scales. Lastly, we have to read across the lines to find the corresponding resin phase composition, where the equilibrium curve intersect. The axial dispersion coefficient lumps together all mechanisms leading to axial mixing in packed beds. Thus, the axial dispersion coefficient must account not only for molecular diffusion and convective mixing but also for non-uniformities in the fluid velocity across the packed bed. Figure 16-10 shows the Sherwood number correlations for external mass transfer coefficients in packed beds for epsilon equals 0.4. Figure 16-11 compares predicted values of d sub L over d sub I for omega v equals 0 and epsilon equals 0.4 with Sc equals 1 or for gases at low pressure and Sc equals 1000 or for liquids based on the equations in Table 16-10. Table 16-12 shows the expressions for rate coefficient K and driving force relationship for equations 16-83. Figure 16-12 shows the correction factors for addition of mass transfer resistances relative to effective overall solid phase or fluid phase rates as a function of the mechanism parameter. Note that each curve corresponds to both B and B sub f over its entire range. Figure 16-13 shows the effect of Reynolds-Smith or RESC group, distribution ratio, and diffusivity ratio on height of a transfer unit. Dotted lines for gas and solid lines for liquid phase systems.
Hello challengers, I'm back again, Professor L. And I'm going to talk about ion exchange chromatography or IEC. In IEC, the stationary phase is an ion exchanger. Typically, a resin that can either exchange cations or anions. The mobile phase is usually an aqueous solution with a salt. The salt concentration affects how solutes interact with the stationary phase. For dilute conditions, the retention of a solute in the column is often a power law function of the salt's normality, meaning the concentration of ions in solution plays a key role. Table 16-14 explains the three chromatography methods: isocratic, gradient reversed phase, gradient ion exchange or IEC. It shows how system behavior changes with each method, especially under gradient conditions. We'll focus on how parameters interact, not just list them one by one. First is the retention time. In isocratic mode, retention time is steady and predictable. In gradient modes, retention time changes as the mobile phase changes. In IEC, it's influenced by the salt gradient and how strongly the solute interacts in the column. In mobile phase composition, in gradient runs, the mobile phase changes over time. This change affects the compound's elute. In IEC, the slope of the gradients and solute's interaction with the exchanger control its behavior. In retention factor at elution, this value shows how strongly a solute is held at the moment it elutes. In IEC, it depends on both the gradient and ionic interactions. Stronger interactions or steeper gradients affect how and when the solutes come out. In peak standard deviation, peak width grows with retention times and decreases with better column efficiency. All methods follow this general rule. Gradient methods can narrow peaks due to compression effects. Lastly, in band compression factor, in gradient runs, especially IEC, peaks can become sharper. This is called band compression. It depends on how the solute and the mobile phase components move through the column. This sharpening helps improve separation and resolution. In summary, gradient methods are more dynamic than isocratic ones. In IEC, retention and peak shape are strongly affected by the salt concentration and gradient slope. Understanding these relationships helps fine-tune separation and improve results. We'll proceed to the role of ion exchangers in water treatment applications. Ion exchange is a powerful technique used to remove unwanted ions from water and replace them with more desirable ones. There are four main types of ion exchangers: strongly acidic, strongly basic, weakly acidic, and weakly basic resins. Strongly acidic and strongly basic exchangers are effective across the full pH range of 0 to 14, while weakly acidic resins work best between pH 5 to 14, while weakly basic resins are effective from pH 0 to 9. While weaker exchangers are easy to generate, they may cause leakage due to the incomplete ion exchange. In Figure 1642, regeneration methods. Regeneration is the process of restoring ion exchangers to the ionic original form. In conventional regeneration, Figure 1642A, acid is introduced to tap down through the resin bed. In Figure 1642b, counterflow regeneration, the acid is introduced from the bottom and pushes upward, which is more effective because it minimizes resin mixing and improves contact. Based on 16-43, it explains the ion exchange cycle used in water treatment applications. A. Backwash. Used to remove accumulated solids obtained by an outflow of water to expand. 50 to 80% expansion is typical, and fluidize the exchanger bed. Regeneration. A regenerant is passed slowly through the use to restore the original ionic form of the exchanger. C. Rinse. Water is passed through the bed to remove regenerant from the void volume and, in the case of porous exchangers, from the resin pores. D. Loading. The fresh solution to be treated is passed through the bed until leakage begins to occur. Figure 16-44 Chromate Recovery System. This is a multi-component ion exchange system used in the plating industry. Rinse water containing chromate goes through a cation exchanger, which exchanges metal cations for hydrogen ion using sulfuric acid. Then through an anion exchanger, which exchanges chromate ions for hydroxide ion using sodium hydroxide. The treated water becomes deionized and can be reused. The waste regenerants go through evaporation, recovering chromic acid, which is then processed again in another cation exchanger. A standard fixed-bed ion exchanger is a vertical steel vessel lined with rubber containing a deep resin bed supported by a bottom screen. It included spargers, a regenerant distributor, and valves to control flow for loading, backwashing, regeneration, and rinsing. In Figure 16-40, two-bed deionizing system. This diagram shows a typical two-bed deionizing system which uses two separate vessels, one for cation exchanger and one for an anion exchanger. The process starts when raw water enters the cation exchange vessel, where positively charged ions like calcium and magnesium are removed and replaced with hydrogen ions. The partially treated water then enters the anion exchange unit, where negatively charged ions like chloride and sulfate are removed and placed with hydroxide ions. The hydrogen and hydroxide ions combine to form pure water. The system has important control components like a totalizing meter to control flow, a conductivity cell to measure water quality, various valves and lines for loading, regeneration, and rinsing. After treatment, the purified water goes through the storage and waste is sent to the drain. In Figure 16-61, upflow regenerated ion exchange. Now, let's look at a more detailed setup. The internals of an upflow regenerated ion exchange unit. This unit is designed to regenerate the resin more effectively by sending regenerant solution upward through the bed. Let's break it down. The regenerant enters at the bottom inlet and flows upward to displace exhausted ions. Air is injected using an ejector, helping to mix and enhance the cleaning process. Air is injected using an ejector, helping to mix the enhance and enhance the cleaning process. The mixture then goes through a separator which splits the liquid and air. A retention system ensures only treated fluid exits. Drained resin layers are shown at the bottom, and various outlet pipes are labeled to discharge effluent depending on the stage of the cycle. This type of system is especially useful in high-purity water systems or where resin cleaning must be more thorough. Now, I'll be presenting Table 16-19, which shows the design data for fixed bed ion exchanger. This table is important sa water treatment and chemical processing. Kaya let's break it down para mas maintindihan natin. So, the table is divided by a type of resins. Ito yung ginagamit sa ion exchange process kung saan inaabsorb o pinapalitan ng resin ng ion sa tubig. May 5 types dito: weak acid cation, strong acid cation, weak and immediate base anions, strong base anions, and mixed cation and strong base anion. Bawat resin may max and minimum flow rate. Naka-indicate sa m cube per R at gallons per minute. Halimbawa, weak acid cation, max is 20 m cube per R or 8 gallons per minute, and minimum is 3 m cube per R or 1 gallon per minute. Yung minimum bed depth naman, gaano kalalim ang resin bed? Usually around 0.6 to 1.2 meters. May specific din na max operating temperature for each time. Weak and strong acid cations hanggang 120 Celsius o 248 Fahrenheit. Strong base anions hanggang 50 degrees Celsius or 122 Fahrenheit. Kapag lumagpas ka dito, pwedeng masira ang resin or bumaba ang efficiency. Next, usable capacity in gram equivalent per liter. Ibig sabihin, gaano karaming ions ang kayang i-hold ng resin. For example, strong acid cation has 0.8 to 1.5. And then, strong base ions, medyo mababa, around 0.35 to 0.7. Finally, regenerant. Ito yung chemical na ginagamit to recharge the resin. Halimbawa, strong acid cation uses sodium chloride or sulfuric acid. Strong base ions use sodium hydroxide. Importante ang tamang dose, usually in gram per liter of resin. May note rin dito kung paano i-convert to pounds per cubic foot. To summarize, this table gives engineers a guide on how to properly design and operate fixed bed ion exchangers. Mahalaga ito lalo na sa industrial settings para maging efficient at cost-effective ang water treatment process. Unahin natin ang Higgins contractor sa figure 16-62. This design uses a cyclic process. Step 1, solution flow period. Solution, may tubig na may contaminants flows downward. Then, the resin stays in place and removes the ions. Treated solutions comes out sa bottom, and then kapag tapos na, resin pump is stopped. Step 2 is the resin movement period. The valves are reversed. Resin moves back to the top para ma-reposition. And then, the flow of solution is stopped during this time. Step 3 is the start of new cycle. Resin settles at the top ulit. And then, resin pump is reversed. And then, panibagong solution flow starts. So basically, parang recycling motion ng resin habang continuous ang treatment. Now, let's look at the Asahi counter-current ion exchange system. Mas complex pero mas efficient. Ang main parts nito ay resin hopper, storage ng fresh resin, absorption tank, dito nagaganap ang ion exchange, and then regeneration tank, kung saan nire-recharge ang resin, and then wash-rinse tank, para tanggalin ang excess regenerant. Ito ay gumagana when influents enter the absorption tank. kung saan ang resin removes ions. Spent resin moves downward papunta sa regeneration tank. After regeneration, resin is rinsed then returned to the system. Clean water goes out to service, waste goes out to drain or recovery. This setup is continuous and counter-current, kaya mas mataas ang efficiency compared sa normal co-current flow. Ang Higgins contractor is cyclic process, mas simple, suitable for batch system, versus Asahi process na continuous system, counter-current flow, mas mataas ang capacity and efficiency. Both have unique advances depending sa application. Next, we'll take a look at two ion exchange system diagrams, Higgins contractor and Asahi countercurrent ion exchange process. Pareho silang ginagamit sa industrial water treatment para tanggalin ang unwanted ions sa tubig, pero magkaiba ang paraan nila ng operation. Let's proceed to another type of ion exchange system, the Hemsley Continuous Ion Exchange System in Figure 16-64. This system is designed for truly continuous operation, meaning tuloy-tuloy ang ion exchange, regeneration at rinsing processes. Walang stop or batch cycle. Let's look at the key parts of the system based sa diagram. Adsorption column. This is where the ion exchange happens. Makita natin na may multiple compartments, A to F, filled with resin. The feed liquor, solution with unwanted ions, enters at the bottom. As it moves upward, the resin removes ions from the solution. The treated liquid or barren liquor exits at the top. Once the resin at the bottom, section A, becomes saturated or used, it gets transferred to measuring and resin cleaning chamber. Dito muna siya lilinisin gamit ang wash water. This step removes dirt, solids, or remaining chemicals on the resin. After washing, the cleaned resin is transferred to the next part, which is the elution column. Dito nire-regenerate ang resin using eluant, a strong chemical like acid or base. After elution, rinse water is added to remove excess regenerant. Ang treated resin thence go back to the top of the absorption column ready to be reused. Ang eluate nga pala is ito yung concentrated waste stream after elution, and then the rinse outlet, water used to rinse the resin before it is reused. So here's a quick recap. 1. Ion exchange happens in the adsorption column. Number 2, spent resin removes to the cleaning chamber. And the number 3, then goes to the elution column for regeneration. And then the next step is rinse water cleans it, and resin returns to the adsorption column continuously. No stopping, no downtime. That's what makes the Hemsley system efficient. This system is ideal for large-scale, industrial processes that requires 24/7 water or solution treatment. The design ensures na lagi kang may active resin ready to go. The classic mode has ended. Congratulations, challengers, at nakaabot kayo sa mode na to. And then next, we will proceed to the adventure mode kung saan magtatakal ng iba't ibang sample problems para mas mapalawak ang ating kaalaman tungkol sa ion exchange.
So for our sample problem number 1, we will tackle the calculation of useful ion exchange capacity. The problem is a 8% cross-linked sulfonated resin is used to remove calcium from a solution containing 0.0003 mole per liter of calcium and 0.01 mole per liter of sodium. The total resin ion exchange capacity is 2 equivalents per liter. Estimate the resin capacity for calcium removal for the conditions given. Like I said, the given was 8% cross-link. The concentration of calcium at 0.0007 mole per liter, the concentration of sodium at 0.01 mole per liter, and the total resin ion exchange capacity at 2 equivalent per liter. What we are finding here is the resin capacity of the calcium removal. So to solve this, we first need to refer to table 16-7 where we can see the thermodynamic equilibrium constant of calcium and sodium at 8% crosslink. The values are 5.16 and 1.98. To find the combined thermodynamic equilibrium constant of those two elements, we should divide it by themselves, which is 5.16 over 1.98, which results to 2.6061. We can also find the total concentration of the two elements by adding the product of the concentrations times the valence of that element. So for calcium, we have 2, since 2 plus 2, and then multiply by 0.007, which is its concentration, plus 0.01 for sodium times 1, since it is plus, and then the value will be 0.0114 equivalent per liter. After getting all of this, we can now solve for rational selectivity coefficient, where its formula is the rational selectivity coefficient is equal to the combined thermodynamic equilibrium constants of those two elements times their total resin ion exchange capacity over the total concentration raised to the difference of the valence of those two elements. So as you can see on the screen, the values are 2.6061 times 2 over 0.0114 raised to 1, which comes from 2 minus 1, and then it will result to 457.2036151. We can also get the the concentration of the calcium by getting the concentration times the valence all over its total concentration, which is equal to 0.1228. And lastly, there's also a formula for another formula for rational selectivity coefficient, which is the quotient of the moles of the first element over the concentration of that element raised to the second raised to the valence of that second element times the concentration of the second element over the moles of the second element raised to the valence of the first element. As you can see on the screen, it is 457.2036, which is the um, uh, rational selectivity coefficient is equal to the moles of the calcium over 0.1228 raised to 1 times 1 minus 0.1228 over 1 minus the moles of calcium raised to 2, and that result will be 0.8896. To get the resting capacity of the calcium, we can see that the moles of the calcium is multiplied to the total resin ion exchange over its valence, which is 2 plus. So 0.8896 times 2 over 2 is also equal to 0.89.
Sample problem 2. Estimation of rate coefficient. Estimate the rate coefficient for flow of a 0.01 molar water solution of NaCl through a bed of cation exchange particles in hydrogen form with bed porosity of 0.4. The superficial velocity is 0.2 cm per second and the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. The kinematic viscosity is 0.00913 cm squared per second. The particles are 600 micrometers in diameter and the diffusion coefficient of sodium ion is 1.2 times 10 raised to negative 5 cm squared per second in solution and 9.4 times 10 raised to negative 7 cm squared per second inside the particles. The bulk density is 0.7 gram dry resin per cm cube of bed and the capacity of bed and the capacity of the resin is 4.9 milliequivalents per gram dry resin. The action equilibrium constant is 1.5. The following are the given parameters in the problem, and the required is the rate coefficient. For the solution, we must first solve the Reynolds number, which is equal to the porosity times superficial velocity times the diameter of the particle divided by the kinematic viscosity. Reynolds number is equal to 0.2 cm per second times 0.6 cm over 0.00913 cm squared per second, which is approximately 1.3. As you can see, it does not include the bed porosity as we are focusing on the external mass transfer and not the internal structure of the packed bed. Next, we have to solve for the Schmidt number, which is kinematic viscosity over the diffusion coefficient of sodium ion. That is equal to 0.00913 cm squared per second times 1.2 times 10 raised to negative 5 cm squared per second, which is approximately 761. To get the value of Sherwood number, we have to refer to figure 16-10, which is around 22.5. In this figure, we have to use the Wilson and Giancopoulos line since the Reynolds number we calculated earlier is around 1.3. Thus, the Sherwood number would be around 22.5. To get the film mass transfer coefficient, we have to multiply the diffusion coefficient of sodium ion and the Sherwood number over the particle diameter. So 1.2 times 10 raised to negative 5 cm squared per second times 22.5 divided by 0.6 cm, which is equal to 4.5 times 10 raised to negative 3 cm squared. Next, we calculate for the R, which is equal to 1 over the mass action equilibrium constant, which is equal to 1 over 1.5, and the result is 0.6667. From table 16-12-2A, to get the correction factor psi for constant R, psi equals 0.894 over 1 minus 0.106 R raised to 0.5, which is approximately 0.979. To solve for the capacity ratio lambda, we need to multiply the bulk density and the capacity of the resin divided by the concentration of the fluid, which is equal to 0.7 gram per cm cube times 4.9 milliequivalents per gram over 0.01 millimoles per cm cube, and that is equal to 343. Next, we need to compute for the dimensionless effectiveness factor, which is psi times diffusion coefficient of the solution times lambda over diffusion coefficient of sodium ion, which would result to 26. This shows that the external mass transfer is the limiting step. Now, to solve for the rate coefficient based on table 16-12 number 1, Kc is equal to 3 times quantity 1 minus epsilon times Kf all over quantity bulk density times radius of the particle, which is approximately 0.39. Given the Langmuir isotherm for the adsorption of anthracene from cyclohexane and alumina, N sub I equals 22 times C sub I all over 1 plus 375 times C sub I, with N sub I in mole anthracene per kilogram alumina and C sub I in mole anthracene per liter liquid. A. What are the values of equilibrium constant and the monolayer capacity approach at large concentrations? B. For a feed concentration of 8.11 times 10 raised to negative 4 moles per liter, what is the value of the separation factor R? C. if the alumina is pre-saturated with liquid containing 2.35 times 10 raised to negative 4 moles per liter, and the feed concentration is 8.11 times 10 raised to negative 4 moles per liter. What is the value of the separation factor, capital R? The given for this problem is the Lamior isotherm equation only. The required values are the K sub I, Ns sub I, and the separation factor in different conditions. For the solution in letter A, based on the given equation and comparing it to the equation of N sub I, K sub I is equal to 375 liters per moles. To get the value of the monolayer capacity approach at large concentrations, Ns sub I, based on equation 16-13, Ns sub I is equal to 22 liters per kilogram times equilibrium constant, which is approximately 0.0587 moles per kilogram. To get the separation factor based on equation 16-33, R is equal to 1 over quantity 1 plus K sub I times concentration, which is 1 over 1 plus 375 liter per mole times 8.11 times 10 raised to negative 4 moles per liter, which is approximately 0.7668. For letter C, to get the separation factor based on equation 16-34, capital R is equal to R plus the product of 1 minus R and concentration of liquid where alumina is pre-saturated over the concentration of the feed all over R plus the product of 1 minus R and concentration of the feed over the concentration of the feed, that is approximately 0.834.
The sample problems are done. So now, did you notice something? Diba? Sinabi ko kanina na be alert or be careful sa mga nakalagay na blocks kasi hindi lang siya basta-basta visuals. So now, malalaman natin kung para saan ito. So ayan, ito ang aming surprise. Malay natin, malagay siya sa bonus sa quiz namin. So ayan, given the red blocks with fixed orientations shown in the slides previously, do you think you can fill all the empty spaces exactly? Nothing more or nothing less. Ayan. So, dito, dapat ma-fill nyo yung mga empty spaces. Ayan, dun sa heart shape. So, dapat wala siyang labis, walang kulang. So, dapat yung mismong orientation na nakalagay dun sa bawat nakasingit sa slides is na red blocks is sakto siya dun sa mga empty spaces. So, ang sasagot nyo lang dun sa quiz namin if nalagay siya dun is yes or no. So, yan. Good luck sa pag-fill ng bonus quiz and sana tama ang inyong masagot. Congratulations, Challenger! Ngayon, tapos na ang ating Black Blast Ion Exchange Master Game. Sana ay natuwa kayo at may natutunan kayo dito sa Ion Exchange Master. Ikaw para sa amin ang best player. Maraming salamat po.